Well, welcome to all who've tuned in for the this week's weekly digital voice net, and Greg will be starting shortly.
Trying again. So that seemed to drop out. So picking up when checking in, please announce your call sign slowly and phonetically, followed by your name, and if you have traffic for the net. If you wish to leave a net immediately, then please call in and out. Otherwise, please make it clear you want to leave on subsequent turns. After I've heard a few check-ins, I'll repeat what I've heard. If you're not acknowledged, then please do try again, and I'll be calling for strays at the end of the UK section and the international section. So I'll begin taking check-ins for the RAYNET-UK weekly activity period, as usual, in call sign number order, starting with stations with figure 8. Figure 8 in the call sign, please call now. This is G4 and RC, over. Golf 8, Kilo, Lima, Charlie. Good afternoon, all. Good afternoon, Greg. In and out. G4 NRC. So I'm only calling for stations with figure 8 in their call sign. I've only got G8KLC. And the other 8's like to go ahead, please. G4 NRC, over.
Golf 8, Echo Yankee. I think I got doubled with M7KAG.
Steve in Jersey. I have routine traffic, over.
This is G4 NRC. I say again, I'm only calling for stations with figure 8 in the call signs. So now I've got G8KLC Phil, who's in and out. Golf 8 Echo Yankee Mike. And Golf Juliet 8 Echo Papa Mike, who is Steve, who is staying with me. So let's go now for the 7 stations with figure 7 in their call sign. Please go ahead. G4 NRC, over.
Mike 7, Alpha Victor Oscar. Good afternoon, Greg.
Golf 7 November Echo Hotel G798. Good afternoon, Greg. And to all on the net.
Mike 7, Mike Lima Charlie. North Battersea, near Southampton.
G4 NRC. So far I've got Dave, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, Graham, Golf 7 November Echo Hotel, and Martin, Mike 7 Mike Lima Charlie. Any other 7s, please? G4 NRC, over. No 7s. Let's try 6s. Stations figure 6 in their call sign. Please go ahead. G4 NRC, over. G4 NRC. Second call for any stations figure 6. Figure 6 in their call sign. Please go ahead, over. and RC, no 6s, only 5. Stations figure 5 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over. C, no 5, so stations figure 4 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, second call, any stations figure 4 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, no 4, so it's 3, stations figure 3 in their call sign, please go ahead, over. Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, Ian, in and out this week, Greg, thank you. G4 and RC, good afternoon, Ian. Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, copied you in and out. Any other 3s, please? G4 and RC, over. Heard. So let's go for 2s. Stations to figure 2 in their call sign, especially the intermediate 2s. Please go ahead. G4 and RC, over. G4 NRC, 2 Echo 0, Lima November X-Ray, had a blip and no audio. Try again, please. G2E0 NL, Lima November X-Ray, Golf 4 November Romeo Charlie, over.
2E0 LNX, apologies, dropped the handset.
G4 NRC, no problem, Neil. I copied you that time. Any other 2s, please? Stations to figure 2 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 NRC, over.
2E0 XDA, Jason from Essex RAYNET.
G4 and RC, okay, Jason, 2 Echo 0 X-Ray Tango Alpha acknowledged. No other 2s chipped in, so let's go for the 1s. Stations figure 1 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, second call, any stations figure 1 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, nothing heard, so let's go for the 0s, dividing as usual with Mike 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier. Please call now. This is G4 and RC, over.
Greg Golf Uniform Yankee. Just in and out today, please, Greg.
M0JSI, Alan. Mike 0, Tango Golf Charlie, David East Devon, in and out, please, Greg, over. Mike 0, Whiskey X-Ray Golf, Shirley in Cornwall, in and out. Thank you, Greg.
Mike 0, India Tango Mike, Andy in Cornwall, in and out. Thank you, Greg.
G4 and RC, the usual rich pickings there. So, Guy, Mike 0, Golf Uniform Yankee. David, Mike Zero, Tango Golf Charlie, Shirley, Mike Zero, Whiskey X-Ray Golf, and Andy, Mike Zero, India Tango Mike, all acknowledged and in and out. And Alan, Mike Zero, Juliet, Sierra Alpha, acknowledged. Let's see if we can find somebody to stop you being last on the list. Any other Mike Zero stations of any regional secondary identifier, please? G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, nothing heard, so we finish off with Golf Zero stations of any regional secondary identifier, please call now. G4 and RC, over.
Golf Whiskey Zero, Juliet Lima X-Ray, name is Andy, no traffic, so in and out this afternoon, Greg, thank you, over.
G4 and RC, good afternoon, Andy. Golf Whiskey Zero, Juliet Lima X-Ray, copied in and out. Any other Golf Zero stations of any regional secondary identifier, over?
Golf Zero, Charlie Foxtrot Bravo, Richard, East Suffolk Raynet, in and out.
G4 and RC, good afternoon, Richard. Golf Zero, Charlie Foxtrot Bravo, and copied in and out. Right, any United Kingdom stations, any UK stations who have missed their turn to call in, who wish to do so, please call now. G4 and RC, over.
Golf 4, Hotel.
Golf 4, Hotel Uniform Foxtrot, G4 and RC. Phil, you were showing 30% packet loss through to Brandmeister and just the first few letters of your call sign on the RAYNET-UK side. Are you staying with us, Phil, or in and out? G4HUF, G4 and RC, over. For an RC, nothing from Phil, so I'll leave on the bottom of the list and we'll come to in due course. Hoping he'll get symmetrical packet loss. Right, finally a call for any international liaison stations. Sorry for those in the web stream, daughter doesn't realise there's a camera on. Any international liaison stations, usually no soundbound of Norway, Arran in Ireland, or anywhere in mainland Europe usually. This is G4 and RC, over.
Echo India 5, India Echo Bravo, it's Tom here in Dublin. Greg, no traffic for me, so in and out.
G4 and RC, good afternoon, Tom. Echo India 5, India Echo Bravo, copied in and out. So one final wrap up. Any station who's missed their turn to call in for the RAYNET-UK activity period, please call now. G4 and RC, over.
November Yankee India, Alan, Planet RAYNET, in and out, please, Greg.
G4 and RC, Alan, Mike 6 November Yankee India, good afternoon to you, and that takes us well over the 1% of RAYNET membership who's actually active on DMR. So, thanks all for checking in. The net is being live streamed by Graham, G7 and the H to YouTube as usual today. Live stream and recording available by searching G7 and the H, that's Golf 7 November Echo Hotel on youtube.com. It's a time-constrained net again today, as it needs to be out by 16:45, and we are at risk of no formal nets next week, because I need an alternative net control for that day, as G7 and the H and myself will be at the West Cheshire RAYNET AGM this afternoon until at least 15:30. So it's going to be a struggle to be everywhere at once. So if no alternative net control comes forward in the next couple of days, then we'll be calling it a no net next week. You may have read in the Friday news that Norfolk RAYNET Group was on standby for a World War II well-exploded bomb last week in Southtown, Great Yarmouth. Unfortunately, the bomb had other ideas about being defused, so went off prematurely with luckily no injuries, and I'm hoping that Mike, Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, might have more information for us on that. And the other update is the Turkish earthquake relief operations after the 7.8 magnitude earthquake hitting Turkey last week, leading to a massive loss of life and many casualties. The aftershocks are reducing in frequency, and the UN are starting to talk about moving into the recovery phase rather than the emergency phase of operations. The emergency group of the Turkish National Society have been involved in the response activities, primarily on VHF UHF, but 3777, 7092, and a frequency, I think it's 28540, have been used on HF. Please give way to traffic around those frequencies for the time being. So that's pretty much the news we've got. So let's hit rapidly in on the first round and go to Mike, Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC from G8 EEY. No, I can assure you absolutely nothing happened in Great Yarmouth during last week. No, seriously though, it just shows you that no matter how you plan things, there were several changes in the planning over the 3 days with different bits and pieces of how they were going to approach and how they were going to do it. And as you say, when they got to the last day and tried to do a slow burn, the bomb thought, no, I'm not having this. But all personnel, either volunteers or utilities, etc., were all accounted for, so that's really good news. Minimal damage to surrounding properties, and the gas pipelines are intact. But it just shows you that you can get called to support something like that, and you never know what you're going to actually experience. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. We were put on standby, but we were not required to provide any communication support. The main support was getting backup materials, beds and so on from Norse headquarters to the rest centres, which weren't extensively used, but every little helps, and maybe people realise now that when they say you need to evacuate, you really do need to evacuate. Otherwise, the weather is 8.4 centigrade, 1,037 millibars, 75% cloud cover, and a very small wind from no particular direction. From G8 EEY, over.
Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC returning. Okay, Mike, thanks for that. Glad everybody was appropriately accounted for. Having a conversation with emergency planning up here and reading an article about responses to power loss. Less talk of plan and more of frameworks, and the American article I read was even more amusing because it said it's a framework like pick your own adventure. If you remember the books back at school where you could make a decision and then leap to a totally different page in the book and wind up with a totally different outcome. So I think choose your own adventure may be the way of planning for the next few years, at least as a idea. Okay, south and over the water to Steve. Golf Juliet 8, Echo Papa Mike, G4 and RC, over. Golf Juliet 8, Echo Papa Mike, GJ 80 PM, G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, no sign of Steve, even though he'd called with traffic, so I'll take him in the next round. Dave, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4 and RC, over. G4NRC, Mike 7, Alpha Victor Oscar. Good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is keeping well. Not much to add this end this week. I'm just testing a new small stumpy antenna on this little Inco DJMD5 for the first time. Might make it a bit more practical if going out mobile rather than the Inco antenna that comes with it. It's just a nice short stumpy inch and a half length antenna. So any feedback on that would be great, even though I'm only transmitting 4'2" into the little hotspot box. But any feedback will be appreciated. Mike 7, Alpha Victor Oscar. Victor Oscar, G for NRC returning. Okay, Dave, yeah, equally have a stubby duck here on the Linko and observations from using them over many years. Okay, on UHF, if you transmit through it on high power, just feel the antenna once in a while and feel how warm it's getting, because that's a clue it's not very efficient. And on an exercise with Merseyside RAYNETs many years ago, I could not communicate with the teams at Liverpool Airport while I was on the Wirral side of the water, even though I could see the blue lights and the airport itself, the other side of the water. It was particularly absorbent and inefficient on 2 meters, so great for low range, maybe a little harder for longer paths, Dave. But I do agree, much more practical for everyday carrying. Okay, next to Graham, G7NEH, G4NRC, over. G4NRC, G7NEH. Yeah, good afternoon, Greg, and good afternoon to all on the net. Right, just before I give some figures, message in the chat from G4HUF Phil that he did shout in, or he missed the shout in first time round, but he's now got no receive, so he may give a quick call in at the end, and he may not, but obviously he's listening to the stream. So for last week's net, we had a total of 36 views and 5 likes, which is great. The figures are going up, and while I'm off this week, I will do some graphing of what people or where people are watching, and we'll see what that pulls out. So not a lot to add. I've updated the firmware on the Nano VNA and the Tiny SA this afternoon. So that's about all I've done radio-wise. G4NRC, G7NEH. G7NEH, G4NRC returning. Okay, Graham, I'll let you know what I get to on the day and a half I've managed to get off this week. But as you know, I am having to look after some house mods while we're at it. Graphing of the YouTube and uptake would be very useful, and any other stats you can wring out of this would be ideal. Probably, well, we'll miss the COM meeting on Monday, but be useful to feed in at future ones. Okay. Next, it's Martin, Mike 7, Mike Lima Charlie, G4NRC, over.
Apologies, I was literally walking out the door when I heard my name called. Nothing really from me. Still participating as much as I can with the Southwest Camps. I think Kevin's on as well today, but I'm here really as unofficially. And just to listen to you guys and what you're reporting really. So back to you.
Mike Lima Charlie, G4NRC. Okay, Martin. just an associated thing because I've just had a notification come through about the RAYNET Facebook group, but I'll make an announcement to everybody. If anybody does want to join the RAYNET-UK Facebook group, there are some questions asked, like what group are you from, what's your name, etc. If you don't answer the questions, then Facebook will pass the request on, but nothing will be done about it until the questions get answered. And I think Facebook even automated to the point that if you still don't answer the questions, the request will just get dropped. So we do have something called Admin Assist fitted on the system just to ease things out. So if anybody wants to join that, then please do so. Likewise, anybody wants to join the DMR server, when you click on the Request Access button, it creates an email formatted to send through to request access to the server. But lots of people don't fill in what group they're from. I appreciate there are blanks in the email to be filled in, but do a bit more digging with those. Okay, next it's to Neil, 2 Echo 0, Lima November X-Ray, G4NRC, over.
Yeah, this is 20LNX. Probably going to be fairly quick. So apparently I've got very low battery on my handy today. Just here to listen in on the traffic and see what's going on around the area. So I'll pass it back to you. This is 20LNX.
2 Echo 0, Lima November X-Ray, G4NRC. Yeah, it's all about testing gear, and not a problem, Neil. I'm gazing down at my handset, which is only 2 out of 3 bars of battery. I'm wondering how much of a cliff edge it might be, but there's always one battery on standby just in case. It'll be a short break in service. Okay, next to Jason then, 2 Echo 0, X-Ray Tango Alpha, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC 20XTA, Jason from Essex RAYNET. Yes, so good afternoon to all. Pleased to report that following our little stall at the Canby Rally last week, both promotion and sales of old equipment, we managed to raise funds of around £130, some of which has already been invested in some antennas, which will help replace some that have been in place for almost 2 decades now. So that's all good stuff. We had quite a lot of engagement from passers-by, probably handing out about 40 of our little pamphlets that we produced about Essex RAYNET, and we even gained a member sign-up on the day, which when you consider that there was only about 400 people in the room, it doesn't sound like a massive uptake, but it is a bit of a hard sell, so it's nice that we got that to start with. What else we've been doing in the last week? We've been preparing for the exercise at the end of March, liaising with local EPOs, and I myself delivered some radio familiarisation training to my local EPO team, which was well received, and help advise them on how they can boost their resilience factors in terms of NPOs and such like. Yeah, other than that, it's there's a lot of events coming up for us this year, so looking forward to getting stuck into those. But our primary focus is at the end of March at the minute, so as I'm sure it is for other groups around the country. Thank you for running the net this week there, Greg. I won't hold it long because I know you're on a time constraint, so from all at Essex, best regards to all. G4C 30XTA.
G4NRC. Yeah, I think you might stay with me, Jason. We've only got 2 stations left, so we should be well okay to do a second loop around for calls and hit my timescale. Yeah, 1 taker out of 400 is very good, but I actually think getting a rally attendance of 400 is very good as well. Not sure what went on at the rally in Cheshire today, how many people attended for that. So nice about the radio familiarisation training, having quite a few places around the world with my international head on where we are looked to more for our technical advice support rather than actually boots on the ground. Whether that's because we know how to break things as communicators or because we know how to make communications work is a different challenge. Right, next to Alan, Mike 0, Juliet Sierra Alpha, G4NRC, over.
Mike Zero Juliet here. So we turn a bit out of breath. I'm actually laying carpet tiles in the shack while I'm listening to the net, so I apologise for that. Not much going on here in East Suffolk at the moment. We're mostly spent the last week preparing for an EGM following our AGM, where one of the things we're going to do is adopt the new constitution, which is more in alignment with the RAYNET national one. Although it still won't be the same, because there's things in yours we don't do, and there's things in ours you don't do. So that's what we're currently planning and working towards. Got a meeting tonight on the committee to go through the final draft, hopefully ready to present to the members. That seemed like a good idea at the time, to revisit the constitution to see how it line up with the national one. But some of it does, but most of it doesn't. Which is a bit of a shame, but I'm sure that will come out in the wash. You can't always get the play radio. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to do all the admin work as well, which I'm sure you are well aware of. But that's where we are at the moment, Greg. G4NRC, M0 Jazz Hainer Group.
Zero Juliet Sierra Alpha G4NRC. Yeah, okay. You're laying carpet tiles in the shack. I'm in between hauling a lot of stuff out of a loft, so we can get insulation above rather than below. So I've got loads of carpet, just not much of it square shaped. It's all offcuts. Okay, EGMs after AGMs, and good idea about constitutional alignment. Yes, it's something groups probably put off, but it can bite you if it's not touched frequently enough. To make things align and stay compliant with the law and other bits. So good you're doing the exercise, and hopefully it's something you don't have to consider more than every 5 years or so, just to give it a quick look-see. But that's for others to decide. Right, we'll give Phil a call, see if his hotspot has got into better Wi-Fi coverage or otherwise. G4HUF, G4NRC, over.
This is G4HUF. I hope I'm getting through. Oh yes, I've got something going up on the display to say that I'm getting into the server, which is a step in the right direction. More than I could say for you, Greg. Your photo keeps on disappearing. I can't watch rude expressions from you as I'm talking. But perhaps that's not a bad thing. And the other significant thing to say is that I've got my Halton visit coming up on Tuesday afternoon, which will be interesting after the Warrington one. Apart from that, nothing else exciting to report. I've been spending my time sorting out computers at home and tearing my hair out over them. And final comment, good afternoon to Stephen, M7VSD, who's watching on Graham's stream, obviously keeping an eye on me. So that's it from me. I'll sign out on this one if I've got through, and I'll no doubt talk next week, if not before, Greg. G4NRC, G4HUF.
G4HUF, G4NRC, solid copy that time, Phil, no packet loss, 0.1% bit error rate, so something slightly off frequency between you and the hotspot, but not enough to cause an issue. Okay, and the Halton visit, yes, I'm kind of having those emails on my peripheral vision. There's probably another request coming up, but this will be a West Cheshire request, but it's in an area served by your group for the Winsford Emergency Centre. But nothing's come too clear on that yet, because Cheshire Emergency Planning are, like everybody else, focusing on Exercise Mighty Oak at the end of March. But yeah, we probably do need to have a chat before we get too deep down this. And our submission of that form has been acknowledged and reasonably well received, which was nice. So, for those on the stream, will notice I'm gazing down at my phone occasionally because I am wondering if I'm going to get any further update from Turkey. I've requested one, but nothing's received yet. Other than that, there's nothing further to go for the second round, so it could be a quick spin around, and we'll see if we can get Steve, GJ at EPM, but then it's any final comments from anybody from what they've heard. So, Mike, Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC, over.
G4NRC from G8DEY. Well, my hopes were that I was going to have a bit of 5 minutes to myself, but the NRF in this part of the world, I've got a meeting on Tuesday afternoon with the NRF to discuss planning for Exercise Oak, and they've snuck a little extra one called Exercise Acorn. Haha, I wonder where they got that idea from. On the 9th of March to do some signal tests around Norfolk. I think they're planning also to do some between Norfolk and Suffolk later on, but I haven't heard any more about that. But anything for a quiet life, no chance in Norfolk. From G8DEY.
Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee G4 and RC. I've got to admit, Exercise Acorn does raise more than a smile here. That's hats off to them for thinking of that one. Reminder to all, though, that the central government expectations of Mighty Oak seem to be quite high level, and it's up to local counties and local NRFs to decide what they want to do if they want to enhance the exercise. So do expect a variable response. Right, let's see if we've got Steve back. Golf Juliet 8 Echo Papa Mike G for an RC, over.
For NRC, this is GJ. I hope you're receiving me this time. We got into a little bit of a collision, I think, with here in Jersey. Peter Bertram is here with us also, G8 PVL, and I think got a bit of a collision with our local repeater. I apologize for that. Nice day in Jersey, 10 degrees C, sunny, force 3, 1033 millibars, 74% humidity. And generally a good day with good visibility, nice and sunny. Even had an ice cream on the beach. We've stopped reporting COVID, as I told you last week. At that point, we had 161 deaths, so we don't really know. People are still dying. We've had several since. But basically, 85% of the people who died over the 3 years, sadly, were over the age of 70. So then now we've got the big statistics. We know a little bit more about the disease. A little bit on the RAYNET status here in Jersey, and Peter Bertram may add a little bit of that on this later on. Our repeaters are generally functional, and we use them. Recently, we've been attending a JESIP training in terms of interoperability with the services here locally in Jersey. And we're working together as a team to establish the correct thinking on command control centers and trying to get all our equipment, trailer antennas and so forth all ready to be quick to go. We've got work to do in that area, but we are working on it. I was just meant to remind you, once a year we meet Avocet in France, and so that we maintain good connection and relationship with them. And that ends my traffic for today. So back to you, Greg. G4NRC. This is GJ at EPM.
Juliet 8 Echo Papa Mike. Yeah, all copied, and good afternoon to GJ at PVL as well. Nice to know you're keeping things open with AdreSec. Do note that AdreSec is very much like RAYNET in its function, so every department has their own AdreSec group, but the national organisation does have to recognise that everybody is individual. So hopefully your AdreSec group is fine. My links with FUNRASEC, the national organisation, can't always help in resolving local issues, which is a shame. Noted also about the JESIP training and other things, as local resilience forums have come out of their COVID slumbers, we're getting a lot of training offered around here as well. So desktop training is back in fashion, and so far, which is a good progress towards real life stuff. Okay, Steve, nice to hear from you today, and everything works better second time round. Next to a final, it's Dave, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4NRC, over.
Alpha Victor Oscar. Not a great deal to add now this time, Greg. I will pick up Graham on next Sunday, ready for our local AGM and any other things we can sort out throughout the week. Back to you, Mike 7, Alpha Victor Oscar.
Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4NRC. Okay, thanks for Graham up the way through. At least I'll be there, obviously. Might put a reminder out for the AGM this week. We've had some apologies, but want to be sure that A, we quorum it, and also B, remind people that we also have some surplus equipment that needs to move. But this was on behalf of an ex-member. So watch out, it might either be a text message or an email through the week. Okay, thanks for that. Graham, G7NEH for final, G4NRC, over. G4NRC, G7NEH. Okay, not a lot to add from this end. Just looking in the chat, Steve, M1CYT, is having some difficulties with PyStar and connecting to the net. So perhaps we can give him some help and get him well on the way. AGM next week, yeah, no problems. Dave said he's going to pick me up on the way through. We plan to be leaving certainly by 3:30, if not before. And if I get back here, I can do the stream, and if need be, can start the net off. And we can do it that way, Greg, if you want, over. G7NEH, G4NRC. Okay, so Mike 1 Charlie Yankee Tango, if you can put back in the chat, so he doesn't see it this way around. Email technical@raynet-uk.net. That's the single point of contact, or bottleneck, if somebody wants to call it that. If CYT emails that address, then we will try and figure out what the problems are, and I can pass it on to Guy if necessary, and so on. So fine for that. My problem is, aside from leaving by 15:30, if we get lucky, although I do know one of the absentees might mean the meeting is a bit shorter than planned. I've still got to be out for basketball at 16:45, so it'll still be constrained nets next week. So it is the way it is. Okay, great. We'll see what we can work out for that. Next to Martin, Mike 0, Mike Lima, correction, Mike 7, Mike Lima, Charlie, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, Mike 7, Mike Lima, Charlie. Yeah, just because you probably don't know background for me, I am part of the Southwest Hampshire RAYNET, but I'm also engineer manager at Southampton Airport and part of the crisis management team and a member of my own right on the local resilience forum, and have been doing training through Jessup and things like that as well. Just so to know, we are actually doing some training, I guess. Next Tuesday, we're going to be doing a VHF net, which is primarily to find out who can hear who from our own home QTH locations, so that we can start building like a heat map of our coverage, etc., etc. All sorts of other exciting things coming up for in the new year for marathons and shows and things like that, which hopefully will be published and sent out on one of the Friday newsletters. Hope everybody has a great week. This is Mike 7, Mike and Charlie. Back to you, G4NRC.
Mike 7, Mike Lima Charlie, G4NRC returning. Okay, home-to-home nets are always excellent to do, and previous nets here, people have learned that in West Cheshire we do nets twice a month, on the 5th and 20th of the month. The 5th we've kept VHF, and the 20th we've moved to testing other bands like 4 metres, 6 metres, etc. But one key observation, even on VHF, is to try a few seasons. So there are some paths which are very workable for me in winter when there's no leaves on the trees, but get very awkward in summer. So yeah, once you start doing nets like that, do them frequently if you could. Thanks for the update, Martin. See you soon. Next, it's Neil. See how his battery testing's going. 2 Echo Zero, Lima November X-Ray, G for an RC, over. Zero, Lima November X-Ray, 2 Echo Zero, Lima November X-Ray, G for an RC, over. For an RC, nothing heard. I guess we've just found out what his battery limit is. Okay, Jason, any final from you with 2 stations to go on the net? 2 Echo Zero X-Ray Tango Alpha, G for an RC, over.
G4 NRC 20XTA. Thanks, Greg. Yep, the only thing I forgot on my last over was to say that my article for Checkpoint, titled Going Digital, has, I believe, been approved by Kathy, I believe, and should be in the March edition of Checkpoint. So if you'd like to see what we've been doing in Essex Re Digital, please give that a look when it comes out. And I'll speak to you guys on the net next week, most likely. So from all at Essex, 732 all, 20XTA back to G4 NRC.
G4 and RC returning. Okay, thanks, Jason. Looking forward to reading that. And sorry, Alan, you're the last on the list again. Mike Zero, Juliet Sierra Alpha, final G4 and RC, over.
Yes, I'm used to being last on the list, but perhaps if I run the net next week for you, I'll be first on the list. I'm happy to give it a go, but you need to send me anything you'll need me to say specifically, and I'll just run round the net. But obviously, I can't put your deep insight into that, but I'm happy to have a go at it if that's any help to you. Yeah, nothing else to report really, apart from what I've said already. Yes, as you say, it's a good idea to refresh these things every 5 years or so. But perhaps the RAYNET-UK national site needs refreshing as well, because we've discovered there's a newer version of the safeguarding policy. Kathy sent one of our committee members a new version, which isn't, of course, the one which is up on the website. And that is possibly a bit of a concern. The safeguarding is the one we got worried about, because we're looking at adopting junior members again, which we haven't had for many years, because that comes with safeguarding issues. But in reality, we've got the safeguarding issues whether we have junior members or not. So that's what's caused a bit of contention. We may to be seeing where that goes at the EGM, but we know we've got to take it on board anyway. So more than we have done. So we'll see how that plays out. Have a good week, Greg. I won't hold you up too long because it's gone past your deadline, I think. Or haven't you got one tonight? G4NRC, M0 Jazz Anna Group.
JSA, G4 and RC. Yeah, we are 4 minutes into, 4 minutes into overtime. So thanks, Alan. Yes, there are occasional discrepancies between what gets posted on the SharePoint sites, which only less than half the membership can probably access, and the front page, the real website, as it were, the main website. It is in my mind. I have also got some checking to do and finish off for the new RAYNET-UK public-facing website coming forward, so might be something I'll think about for the COM meeting tomorrow. Okay, all noted. Good luck with your EGM planning. So yes, 5 minutes over my limit. I'll just have to walk further to get to the game. So thank all stations for taking time out of their schedules to participate in the net today. Be careful, have a good week, and until next Sunday afternoon at 1600 hours local time, I'll close the RAYNET-UK weekly activity period.
So Greg's just closing the net down, and thanks for tuning in this week. It's been much appreciated. And if you haven't already done so, just hit that like button, and why not leave a comment or subscribe to the channel as well. It's totally free. So we look forward to seeing you next week. It may not be Greg doing the net, so there we go. Bye for now.